creative industry, a range of economic activities concerned with the generation or exploitation of knowledge and information has become a major source of employment for Nigerians in recent times. This is due to the fact that many, especially the youths, find this sector attractive. As a result of the use of innovation, technology, deep thinking to achieve durable results, since Nigeria's recent delve into the creative economy, sectors such as advertising, architecture, arts, crafts, design, fashion, film, music, performing arts, publishing, R&D, software, toys and games, TV, radio and video games, and the education sector have witnessed visible growth. This and more for discussion on Panorama today. I'm your host, Ogoshkuka Ona. You're welcome. President Bola Tinubu will embark on a trip to France today, departing from Abuja, the nation's capital. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajurin Gelale, says the President will return to the country after his brief work stay in France. World Humanitarian Day is commemorated every year on 19th August to pay tribute to humanitarian workers killed and injured in the course of their work and to honor all aid and health workers who continue to provide life-saving support and protection to people most in need. Each year, World Humanitarian Day focuses on bringing together partners from across the humanitarian system to advocate for the survival, well-being and dignity of people affected by crisis and security of aid workers. Ruth Aguele reports.
Hashtag Act for Humanity is the theme for this year's World Humanitarian Day. The aim is to build public support to help pressure parties in conflicts and world leaders to take action to ensure the protection of civilians, including humanitarian actors in conflict zones. For Nigeria, the result of conflicts and climate change in the affected regions has forced many into displacement and impacted the lives and livelihoods of millions of people. The present administration, under the Renewed Hope agenda, has put in measures to provide humanitarian relief through diverse social intervention programs to reduce the trajectory of poverty of vulnerable groups in the country.
In line with Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu, he said, no one should be left behind, and we're in this world for just 3 reasons: for humanity.
Recognizing the burden of humanitarian needs across the country, Nigeria has consistently taken coordinated mechanisms with humanitarian partners towards interventions by supporting federal government's efforts through funding and technical aid to curb humanitarian crises in the country.
By our capable implementing partners evaluated by the Nigerian government in collaboration with the ECOWAS team will in depth enable us to touch the lives of the people identified.
These humanitarian initiatives, as we all know, are driven by the belief that every individual deserves access to basic necessities of life.
As the world celebrates Humanitarian Day, it is a call to action for nations to adopt a comprehensive approach by building capacity to strengthen humanitarian response plan towards addressing the growing humanitarian needs of persons of concern. Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
The Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, has pledged to promote the Iriji Ndigbo National Yam Festival globally. She made this commitment during a visit from traditional rulers and from the southeast states who sought support for the festival. Musawa emphasized the importance of the festival, likening it to other internationally renowned festivals. She promised to support it to attract global attention, especially from Nigerians of Ndigbo descent in the diaspora, and to involve UNESCO experts in the festival. The minister's support is expected to help amplify the festival's cultural significance and promote Nigerian culture and tourism. The delegation thanked the ministry for its past support and expressed confidence in making this year's festival a success with continued support. And now in the studio to discuss more on this is the Special Assistant Delivery to the Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Rushan Nanayakara. Hello, Rushan. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you
Thank you for
having me.
joining us.
Yeah.
Okay, so this creative industry, the creative sector, what is it all about? Can you tell us what it entails?
Yeah, of course. The creative economy, as we like to call it, is a wide-spanning, new emerging economy which has existed for a while, but we haven't been able to capture it properly in our administration as a government. And with the newly created ministry, Federal Ministry for for Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, we're now able to dive into all of the subsectors of the creative economy, which are over 40, spanning from music, film and music, all the way to emerging subsectors such as culinary arts, makeup, and design. There are some overlapping sectors such as architecture and design. And we just want to be able to utilize the platform now we have to capture all of the areas that were largely informal in the past. There's a lot of work being done in these areas that has not been recognized, especially by the government. And with the President's declaration and the creation of this ministry, we're now able to do that. So the creative economy is what we like to call Nigeria's new oil.
All right, so the youths form the bulk of Nigeria's active force. How can they get into the potential of the creative sector,
Yeah, so how do the youth get into the creative sector? I would say that we can't say how the youth gets into the creative sector, because what we like to think is that the youth are already actively engaged in the creative economy. Well, like I said, what we've noticed is that in the past, the creative economy has been largely informal, largely undocumented. There have been a lot of activities going on in the industries, and I must say that the industry has largely been private sector led up until this point. We recognize the efforts and the strides that the creative economy has taken till date without the support of the government up until now, and now we just want to key into what they're already doing and support to elevate it to the next level. The youth are already actively engaged in the creative enterprises, and what we want to do is just help elevate that to the next level, really.
All right, they are being funded, right? But many young people still complain about lack of funding to pursue their dreams. Is funding a necessary factor for starting a creative enterprise?
I mean, of course, funding is a necessary factor for starting any type of enterprise. And in the creative enterprises, it's even a more difficult issue, just simply because the creative sector being mostly informal, undocumented, unregistered, not being able to access typical financial initiatives or bank loans, and some of these things that most regular businesses are able to just access just as easily because of the way their own industries are set up. However, with the creative economy, most of the product of the creative economy may be intangible sometimes, such as an artwork, a film. You may not be able to measure it as easily as you would measure some of the products of the manufacturing industries, for example, which makes it hard for you to assess and invest in a reasonable manner in the creative economy. This has been one of the struggles that, in fact, the major struggle that we've identified with the creative economy, which we hope to work hand in hand with the stakeholders of the creative economy to tackle through several funding initiatives.
Okay, so what more plans does government have for the youths?
I mean, through the creative economy, we have a number of initiatives which are now just rolling out since the administration began. Obviously, for funding, we've now, in partnership with BOI, the African Development Bank, and a number of other partners, rolled out the Innovation, Investment in Digital Innovation and Creative Economy Fund, which is a very large fund focused on the creative economy and helping startups and industries, people who are already doing work in the creative economy, to access the funding necessary for them to scale their activities, as well as new startups in the area to be able to do what they need to do in order to boost economic growth in this area. We know that there's a potential for a large amount of revenue generation from the creative industries, as long as we're able to harness it in the right way.
All right, Mr. Roshan. So, at this point, can you give us some viable links to these empowerment avenues that you mentioned, especially tailored for the creative sector?
Yeah, of course. So with the iDice Fund, I think it has been largely publicized. There's a round of sensitization still going on, just to ensure that creatives all across the country are able to be aware of the fund and are knowledgeable on what they need to do to be able to access it. There's a number of other funding initiatives which are in the works and will be rolled out in the coming weeks in partnership with the Bank of Industry and a number of other partners. These are all geared towards providing the resources necessary for the creatives to do what they need to do. I would advise that, public follow the ministry, the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy very closely through our media channels, our websites, our social media handles, just to ensure that you're kept abreast with all of the activities that we're taking on right now. We are so invested in ensuring that all of every single person across Nigeria who has the creative ability to produce things that are valuable to be able to access this funding initiatives. And beyond funding initiatives, we're also ensuring through our current work with the intellectual property policy to ensure that creative works are now protected. The intellectual property policy is set to be rolled out in the coming weeks as well, now at its final drafting stages. It's one of the first times that we've seen government and government stakeholders work together in harmony, just to ensure that we are able to put out something that actually benefits the people. And there's more to come with the intellectual property monetization and securitization policies, as well as incentivizing the creative economy policies. There's an endowment for the arts fund, which has been created since the 80s, but has never been, never been activated or funded. We hope to be able to pull out all these resources, make sure that they're able to work for Nigerians. Everything that we're doing right now is to make sure that Nigerians in the rural areas and in the cities are able to access all of the resources that they need to be actively engaged in the creative economy and also to make money from it. Like I said earlier, all of the creatives, they've already been working in the space. This is also an opportunity for me to say we recognize how much work has already been done without the assistance of the government up until this point. And we are coming in now to make sure that the people understand that we are with them. We recognize the potential in the creative economy, and we want to make sure that we utilize it. Hand in hand, we are going to develop and boost Nigeria's economy and diversify the economy to make sure that we are no longer reliant on, just oil and all of the petroleum related products.
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Roshan Nanayakara, for that wonderful insight. The door of the ministry is open to the youth across the country. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on Panorama.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Right now, fulfilling its core mandate of improving livelihood, job, and wealth creation for youths and women using the incubatees and incubators model in the agricultural value chain within rural communities. The federal government's Life and the project has inaugurated and handed over 3 major integrated projects at Idoma community in the local government area of Cross River State. Paul Abel was there and completes the report.
Federal Government, IFAD, NDDC, Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprises, Niger Delta Life ND Project, as the name implies, has transformed the lives of many youths and women through its incubator model via various agricultural value chains as it reaches out to 100 communities in Cross River State and at Idoma community in Biase local government area. There are 59 direct beneficiaries, including Comfort Anthony Ekwe and others, who are testimonies of the success story of the project.
Before, I wasn't farming. The little portion I had of farm, I was just producing just a little commodity. But now the project has empowered me with 3 hectares of land. And with this project, I have been able to have my own mini cassava processing mill.
We will find it carelessly. We will protect it carelessly.
The Commissioner for Agriculture, while inaugurating the 3 integrated projects, which include 1.3-kilometer earth farm road, mini bridge linking the road with the 8 metric tons cassava processing mill, commends the federal government and Life ND and other partners for the approach and model which the state government may also adopt.
This is a model that even Cross River State as a government will replicate in other local governments.
The choice of 3 projects followed a bottom-down approach implementation from what the community requested based on needs assessment.
It is an integrated infrastructural need that meets the need and requirements of the entire community.
These are the most active persons, that can, create something positive or negative.
There was a tour around the cassava processing mill, which is expected to enhance production, processing and marketing of the raw material for improved livelihood of the people. From Idoma community, Biase local government area of Cross River State, Paul Abel, NTA News.
We'll take a commercial break at this point. The news continues.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
There has been anxiety and uncertainty among farmers concerning the 2024 rainy season. While some of them are complaining about a sudden cessation of the rain, others are facing heavy rain and floods destroying their farmlands. In this report, Musa Babaliu takes a look at the situation in the northern part of the country.
The 2024 rainy season commenced a little late this year, as earlier predicted by meteorologists. The season began in March in the southern parts of the country and in May in the northern region. Farmers took advantage of the weather and planted early as advised. While the farmers were enjoying the weather, hoping to have a good yield at the end of the season, suddenly the rain ceased in some states in the north central, northeast, part of northwest and southwest. The development has created anxiety and state of confusion among farming communities in the affected states. However, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency said what is being experienced is not drought, but a dry spell. The dry spell is expected to last for at least 2 to 4 weeks. In Bidda, Niger State, North Central, Muslims led by the Etsunupe seek God's intervention to send down the rain.
May Allah accept our prayers and grant us the rain that will make us achieve our good security. And those who pray much Allah to guide our leaders right.
This is coming as other parts of the country are experiencing flooding as a result of heavy rainfall in the month of August. The National Emergency Management Agency said 27 states have been impacted by the flood. It said 227,494 persons have been affected and 32,837 houses damaged, as well as 16,488 hectares of farmlands with crops are also damaged. The end of the season is expected to begin on October 6. It is also anticipated to end around the south-south the month of December. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, politics. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has disclaimed the poster currently circulating on social media suggesting he is contesting for the presidency in 2027 with Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma as his running mate. A statement signed by his chief press secretary, Edwin Olofu, described the information as a false piece of fake news fabricated by opposition elements to ruin the good relationship President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the national chairman of the governing party shares. Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje says he remains unwaveringly loyal to the president and is fully committed to supporting the president's vision and leadership. Now, many houses and farmlands have been submerged by a flood in Gumi local government area of Zamfara State. Hundreds of households are displaced by the disaster as victims struggle to resettle. Jamilu Ibrahim reports.
The flood, which occurred as a result of a heavy downpour that lasted for more than 48 hours, submerged many houses and farmlands across Gumi town, headquarters of Gumi local government area of Zamfara State and some neighboring communities. Though the exact number of houses and farmlands affected by the disaster is yet to be ascertained, many residents describe the flood as the most devastating in recent years. Hundreds of the displaced persons are now taking shelter in the least affected neighborhood and communities. The victims continue to count their losses as they appeal for urgent intervention to cushion the effect of the disaster. I have lost my house and all other valuables therein, including the foodstuffs, to the flood. We are appealing to the state and the federal governments to urgently come to our aid. It has almost destroyed all the farmlands in this area. As of the time of filing this report, good Samaritans were sighted busy trying to help some victims, especially women and children, out of the flooded areas. Meanwhile, Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has in a statement sympathized with the people of Gumi Emirate by the tragedy. He also directed the Zamfara State Emergency Management Agency to immediately assess the situation for urgent intervention to the victims. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Let's now join Ahmad Sango for the latest in the world of sports.
Nigeria's representatives in the CAF Champions League Remo Stars won their first CAF inter-club match with 2-1 victory over favourite Esfar of Morocco in the first leg of CAF Champions League in Ekene. The return leg comes on Sunday in Rabat as Remo Stars strive to cross the first round barrier for the first time. Meanwhile, Nigerian champions Enugu Rangers are almost assured of a second round berth in the CAF Champions League after an away 1-0 defeat of Zilemaju of Comoros Island in Uyo. The return leg holds on Friday on the same ground. Still on football, Kylian Mbappe made his La Liga debut as defending champions Real Madrid were held to a 1-1 draw by Mallorca in their opening game of the season. Rodrigo called home a fine opener from Vinicius Junior's back heel to give Ancelotti's side the lead, but Vedrad Marici equalized for Mallorca with a header from Dani Rodriguez's cross. Finally, in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka defeated world number 1 Iga Swiatek 6-3, 6-3 for the first time this season to reach the Cincinnati Open final. The pair had met twice before in 2024 in the finals of Madrid Open and Italian Open, but Sabalenka had lost both. In the men's category, world number 1 Jannik Sinner outclassed Alexander Zverev on the third set tie break with 7-6, 5-7, 7-6 to reach the Cincinnati Open final.
Number 1 survives in Cincinnati. 5-7, 7-6. He's come through a thriller.
For sport update, Amazongo, NTA News.
And that's Panorama today. Thank you for watching and do have a wonderful day.